I have some big breaking news for everybody. Sam Bankman-Fried has just been arrested in the Bahamas following, quote, a receipt of formal notification from the United States that it has filed criminal charges against SBF and is likely to request his extradition. So here's what they say. Statement from the Attorney General of the Bahamas, Senator Ryan Pinder KC? Okay. On the arrest of Sam Bankman-Fried. On the 12th of December 2022, the Office of the Attorney General of the Bahamas is announcing the arrest by the Royal Bahamas Police Force of Sam Bankman-Fried, former CEO of FTX. SBF's arrest followed receipt of formal notification from the United States that it has filed criminal charges against SBF and is likely to request his extradition. As a result of the notification received and the material provided therewith, it was deemed appropriate for the Attorney General to seek SBF's arrest and hold him in custody pursuant to our nation's Extradition Act. At such time as a formal request for extradition is made, the Bahamas intends to process it promptly pursuant to Bahamian law and its treaty obligations with the United States. Responding to SBF's arrest, Prime Minister Davis stated, quote, the Bahamas and the United States have a shared interest in holding accountable all individuals associated with FTX who may have betrayed the public trust and broken the law. While the United States is pursuing criminal charges against SBF individually, the Bahamas will continue its own regulatory and criminal investigation into the collapse of FTX with the continued cooperation of its law enforcement and regulatory partners in the United States and elsewhere. So CoinDesk also, they're the first ones with an article out on this. They say FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried arrested. Bahamas says U.S. authorities filed criminal charges against Bankman-Fried, and the Bahamas intends to extradite him once U.S. officials request it. So yeah, when I say this is breaking news, this is as breaking gets, because honestly, I haven't seen anything from like CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, the nightly news outlets, even like the print outlets, which generally I think do a better job. They're not even reporting this yet, so this is like super duper new, okay? So they give some of the same information here. They quote the piece that I just read to you. He was set to testify before the House Financial Services Committee about the exchange's collapse on Tuesday. Spokespeople for both the chair and ranking member did not immediately return requests for comment. So yeah, this was interesting. He was doing a Twitter Spaces earlier today with the Unusual Whales group, and they were like, "Hey, are you gonna testify in person in front of the House Financial Services Committee?" And I think he was like, "Nah, I'm gonna like video into it or whatever." And look, if I had to guess, I think the reason why he wouldn't want to fly to the U.S. and wouldn't want to do it in front of the House Financial Services Committee is because he was probably afraid the second I step foot in the U.S., they're probably going to arrest me. And so, I don't know, maybe he didn't know that the government in the Bahamas and the U.S. would work so closely and that, you know, at the request of the U.S., the Bahamas was going to lock him up. But look, he made a lot of enemies in the Bahamas and in the U.S., and so, you know, a lot of enemies among the people that he absolutely ripped off. And so, you know, he wasn't safe there either. He wasn't safe in the Bahamas either. So, he's been arrested. Now, look, the easiest thing to go after him for is the wire fraud. They already have him dead to rights on the wire fraud. But that is that's the lowest hanging fruit. It probably would be less prison time than if they went after him for the bigger stuff. And so I don't know which thing they're going to go after him for. My guess is they're going to throw the whole book at him, because clearly he was running a criminal enterprise. He was committing fraud in 1,000 different ways. The connection between FTX and Alameda was an illegal connection between the two of them. He was just basically robbing the people who put full trust in FTX. He was running a giant scam. He's a massive con man. And then basically his explanation was like, who, me, bro? I just didn't even really like understand what was going on in any of my companies at any time. And I'm just like totally ignorant. And so it was really my own ignorance and stupidity and silliness and like me being an absentee owner. That's really what led to this. When the reality is there's a tremendous amount of evidence that he knew exactly what was going on. It was intentional, and he thought he could keep the fraud going. I mean, he did an interview pretty recently before this whole thing imploded where, he was asked, like, what his companies really do, and he effectively described a Ponzi scheme, and then the host was like, it sounds like you're in the business of a Ponzi scheme, and his reply was to sort of laugh and almost admit it, almost be like, yeah, I mean, pretty much, and now it all came crashing down, and I really hope that justice is delivered here. I hope he gets life in prison, if I'm being honest, and I hope that everybody gets made whole. Now, that's not going to happen. It's a shame. I hope that everybody who, lost their life savings investing in this product, thinking that, crypto was the future and this is the way to go, and I really hope that these people get justice and can get some of their money back because, I mean, they're victims in the whole thing. They're victims. And, I shudder at the thought of the number of people who are, lower class or middle class and, really thought they hit it big with crypto and were going to invest in the future and they had a way out of an existence with, from living paycheck to paycheck. And ultimately, they didn't. It was just a scam from the beginning. And this guy was at the head of it. So anyway, I'm really happy he got arrested. I hope they throw the book at him. I hope they really dot their I's and cross their T's and get it right. Because I know that one of the things I know for sure is the way that FTX was, the way the business was created, the way that all of Sam Bankman-Fried's businesses were created, it was like, it's a legal nightmare. Like, there were so many companies that they created that were like underneath companies and connected to other companies, and it was all for like, nefarious purposes. I'm sure tax avoidance purposes and to shuffle money around, and I'm sure they knew every trick under the sun to, they thought, get away with their crimes. And that's why the corporate structure of FTX and Alameda and all these other companies was so convoluted and so strange. But I really hope that, they get the best prosecutors they could find, the best investigators they could find. They connect all the dots. They prove the fraud. They prove how much a scam it was, and he gets life in prison. So anyway, there you have it. FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried officially arrested.